breaking news tonight. A person visiting Lexington has been diagnosed with the Zika virus. What the health department says about the case and mosquito spraying efforts in the city.
What investigators have told us about an accidental fall that killed an off-duty state trooper in southern Kentucky today.
It just kind of fits. This fits my personality.
Retiring Fayette County Commonwealth's Attorney Ray Larson gives us an exit interview as he looks back on his long career in law.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good evening. The Fayette County Health Department has announced that someone visiting Lexington was diagnosed with the Zika virus.
Doctors say the person had traveled from an area where the virus has been circulating, but as a precaution, the health department will be changing its mosquito spraying schedule so the 40502 zip code can be sprayed tonight. This map shows that area. Sean Moody joins us now live with the breaking details. Sean?
Hey there, Sam and Amber. A spokesperson for the health department said there's no indication right now that mosquitoes in this area are actually carrying the virus, but they're going to go ahead and modify that spraying schedule just to be safe. That health department spokesperson said a person visiting the 40502 area of Lexington was found to have Zika. They said that person developed symptoms while he or she was here. They've since left the area. Now, the health department won't say anything more specific about which streets or neighborhoods the person was near for confidentiality reasons, but the zip code includes areas like Woodland Park, Chevy Chase. It's more or less bounded by Tate's Creek and Richmond Road from around the University of Kentucky out to New Circle Road. Now, as temperatures start going down here in the early fall, the health department says mosquito populations go down as well, but mosquito season does last until the first frost of the season. They still had some spraying scheduled to wrap up the season. Now they're moving this area to the top of the list.
Our spraying happens in different zip codes throughout, the city, and we're modifying that based on where this person was visiting, which is 502.
Now, the spray that the city uses is called Duet. They say it's been tested for safety when it comes to people and animals. They say people can go back outside immediately after workers spray the area. So again, the health department says there's no indication at all that mosquitoes here in the 40502 area are actually carrying that virus. They're just doing this as a precaution. Those crews will begin spraying at 10 o'clock tonight and should be wrapped up by midnight. Live in Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Sean, we appreciate it. Thank you. Investigators call it a tragic accident. Tonight, we're learning more about what led to the death of a Kentucky State Police trooper in Pulaski County.
Investigators say the 24-year-old trooper Mason Flynn died this morning after falling through a barn roof and hitting his head. He was off duty at the time. Phil Pendleton has the latest on the investigation. It's our top story at 6.
It's one of those days that you don't ever want to duplicate.
Pulaski County Coroner Clyde Strunk had the awful task of telling a young wife that her husband had just been killed in a farm accident.
Turned out to be a state trooper, one of our finest in our state. Putting a roof on a hay barn, fell about 22 and a half feet to his death.
24-year-old Mason Flynn had only worked for the Kentucky State Police Post in London for about 2 years. He was off duty when the accident claimed his life about 10:30 Monday morning.
But you seldom ever think about it being an accident where he's off duty, helping a friend, falling to his death, putting a roof on a barn. You just never think of that.
Flynn lived in Science Hill but patrolled Rockcastle County for the state police. Officials in Pulaski County say that he was well liked and respected by many.
He was an outstanding officer from what I've understood. Just a man of faith, just a great family man.
Mason Flynn's body was taken to Frankfort, where the state medical examiner will perform an autopsy tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I'm told that a police escort followed his body from here to Frankfort. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The coroner tells us after the autopsy tomorrow, a full police escort will bring the trooper's body back to Pulaski County.
Tonight, police have opened an investigation into a substitute teacher in Powell County. Police say the teacher has been accused of inappropriately touching children. Victor Puente has the story new at 6.
So far, there haven't been any arrests or even charges, But police were at the Powell County Middle School today conducting interviews. A parent of one of the children involved told me her daughter was made to feel uncomfortable by the way a substitute teacher touched her last week. She said her daughter wasn't the only child involved. Those students went to school authorities.
Last Thursday, we had some students come by the counselor's office and report some things to the counselor, and the counselor investigated,
which led to a call to law enforcement. Today, officers were at the Powell County Middle School talking to students about the incidents. They say they can't comment on the case because it's ongoing. That mother said she hoped her daughter's claims were taken seriously. The superintendent says they're doing everything they can to keep students safe.
And all people involved did what was needed to be done. And again, like I stated, it is an ongoing investigation.
Superintendent Tate tells me that because this involves a substitute teacher, they aren't having to take any special steps yet regarding their employment. In Powell County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
That investigation is being led by the Powell County School Resource Officer and Clay City Police.
A crash near Cincinnati has killed a 15-year-old boy from Lexington, and police say he was driving a stolen car. Police in Marymount, Ohio say the car hit 2 trees early this morning. Police say it was stolen from a parking garage at Lexington St. Joseph Hospital last week. Investigators have identified the 15-year-old as Jordan Perkins, a student at Dunbar High School. Police say the 2 18-year-olds and a 13-year-old girl were in the car and were taken to the hospital. They say they're also from Lexington. Police say they found items stolen from the Marymount area inside the car. We now know the name of a man Lexington police say died after being stabbed. The Fayette County coroner has identified him as 28-year-old Trenton Monroe. Police say Monroe got into an argument with another man last night outside a home on Heil Way near the Eastland neighborhood. They say Monroe was stabbed and later died at UK Hospital. Police say the other man was injured when he was hit by a blunt object during the argument. At this point, police say that no charges have been filed, but they are still investigating.
We've been tracking rain across the bluegrass today, and it's bringing with it some cooler air. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell has an early look now at your forecast.
Very pleasant fall feel has arrived for most of the area here in central Kentucky, especially already into the mid-60s with all that cloud cover that's hanging out with us. It's 65 in Lexington. No, we did get a little bit warmer after the rain initially passed through, but now we're on the downside of things as the sun is, of course, getting lower in the sky. Still holding on to 70s in eastern Kentucky, waiting for the full arrival of that cold front. It's still working its way through that area. Here's what we've got on Defender Radar Network. Most of the showers dying out. You might run into a patch of drizzle here or there to our east, but even the skies are going to clear, it looks like. You can see the clear line is getting really close to Louisville at this point, and it'll continue working toward the south and east, giving us all clear skies through the overnight. Let's forecast the next little bit here as we head through the early morning hours tomorrow. I think we start things off probably in the upper 40s, daytime highs into the upper 60s and low 70s before we get even cooler going into your Wednesday, because the same system that impacted us today, it's going to have an impact on us all week long. I will track the pesky area of low pressure and why it's going to keep us cool coming up for you in just a few minutes.
Next week, Fayette County will have a new Commonwealth's attorney. This Friday will be the last day for Ray Larson. For nearly 32 years, Larson has prosecuted the most high-profile cases in Lexington. WKYT's Miranda Combs sat down with him for an exit interview.
What we have to do is start kicking ass and taking names.
He's what we in TV
Sure, it burns me up.
call a walking soundbite.
I sit over here and I used to have hair.
Now you talk about how proud you are of the people you've kind of raised up here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it was a change of pace to slow down.
That's part of the deal. And they're high-quality people.
He's created a tight-knit family.
It's just fun. Yeah. You want to see what we're doing? Take a look.
Gosh.
Come on in.
Oh, thank you.
Ray Larson is moving out.
It looks different.
Yeah, I got to get rid of this stuff. All of it.
Everything that means something is going too. Pictures from his most disappointing case.
And Mike DeGero, and this is during the trial. If you see all of that, that's what we have to go to trial with. It gets pretty lonely.
Where's all your assistants?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But hell if I know. Yeah.
There are other good pictures. His grandkids, his wife, and his mother.
She was the feistiest woman I've ever known.
She passed that on to her son. His father taught him rules are meant to be followed, which eventually led him to a love of law.
So it just kind of fits. This fits my personality.
For more than 3 decades, Larson has prosecuted the most high-profile cases in Fayette County.
I say frequently to people who are friends now, I'm sorry we ever met, because something crummy had to happen before we met.
Families hoping he and his team will make it all better.
They think when the trial's over, it's going to be better. Trials are awful for families because they have to relive it.
And he relives some to this day.
This is the gun Shane Ragland used.
The Shane Ragland case. The jury found Ragland guilty of killing Trent DeGiro. Then an appeal changed everything.
I get bitter about that reversal. So, you know, when I get out of this job, I can tell you how I really feel.
Something, though, he doesn't hold back on ever is repeat offenders and not learning from our past.
The public is scared because these people are out committing crimes. That's what really pisses me off, is the business of we don't learn from our history.
His history lessons, he says, are what keep him grounded.
My dad brought that back from China. The guy riding on the tiger is the prosecutor. And his job is to slay the dragons. And the dragon represents the bad guys. The tiger, he said, represents the public. He says, you have to also stay on the tiger, because if the tiger throws you off, he'll eat you. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
This is the only piece of his life that won't be packed up. His predecessor wants that piece of him to stay, a reminder of 35 years of prosecuting with passion.
We've had a pretty good effect on a lot of people. I'm proud of that.
And in the time Larson has been the Commonwealth's attorney, his office staff has doubled from 16 when he started to about 30 now. Larson's last day in the office will be this Friday, but he's got another office across town where he's going to continue a lot of his social media work that he's also become quite known for.
I don't think I've met another official more direct, more blunt. You always knew exactly where he stood on things, which made our jobs great.
Well, I told him that when we needed a spicy soundbite, we need to go straight to him.
You got it.
He would deliver, yes.
Now, the person taking his place, Luana Redcorn, she's been with him for a long time, right?
30 years. And even in this interview, this was right before the announcement of the appointment had come out, he said, that's who I want in that job. That's who I'll feel most comfortable with.
As I said to you earlier, good luck packing up that office of all that stuff and all those years of memories.
A lot of stuff.
Miranda, thanks. It's been in business for decades, but a Lexington store will soon be closing. That's next.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
New tonight, we have learned a more than 80-year-old Lexington business will soon be shutting down.
The owner of Fayette Seed on Red Mile Road told our news partners at the Herald Leader that the seed and plant business will close on October 29th. He said he's hoping to sell it to someone who will keep the seed business going, but if not, a dispersal auction will be held in November to sell off remaining inventory and equipment. Fayette Seed opened in 1934.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
We have been talking about this fall front for what seems like forever. Well, guess what? It's here, and it's making its way across Kentucky, cleaning house as it goes. Temperatures have already tumbled. Check them out right now in Lexington, down to 65 degrees. We're still waiting for the front to completely get through eastern Kentucky. It's not there yet because they're still holding steady in the 70s in most locations. Jackson at 70, 77 in Harlan, but they're a little bit farther away from the actual push of colder air when you get all the way to Harlan. So this cool stuff is on the way, and it will continue working its way toward the south and east throughout the rest of the evening and overnight tonight, along with the clearing line associated with this front as well. Those skies will continue to clear right into Kentucky as well. And as we all know, when you get into that clear pattern, especially at night, that will allow temperatures to drop even more. So tonight, we end up in the 40s in many locations to start your Tuesday off. And then Tuesday itself looks pretty good. Frontal boundary bringing all this mess and all this change is already snaking through the area, clearing the skies, allowing for that chilly air to press through. So we've got the cool stuff in position throughout the evening, overnight, and into parts of the day tomorrow. And overall, a good looking day, but it's much cooler than where we should be for daytime highs. This low is attached to all the energy moving into the area, and it's going to influence our weather for several days. It's dropping back toward the south as we head into Tuesday and more so into Wednesday. You can see it's igniting some showers as well by noontime, and then even planting some moisture into Kentucky. With that moisture and that cloud cover around, that's going to keep temperatures down as well. So a very cool run continues. Very raw overall forecast here with the dampness and just the cool conditions that will linger here. So with that low just sitting and spinning. Now this isn't exactly where it's going to sit the whole time. It's going to move back and forth and up toward the north, and eventually it'll get out of the way. Something will come along that'll shake it up. But it's going to be with us for several days. So it brings the chill with more clouds and shower chances here in our forecast. So it stays action-packed. How cool does it keep us? Well, first let's get to the early morning tomorrow. We're in the mid-40s with this particular run of the model, so mid and upper 40s could certainly break out in some locations. Isolated mid-40s, I'd suspect, though. We get into your Tuesday, not feeling the effects of that low yet because we're in the upper 60s, low 70s. But then the low shows up, and when it does, you'll know it, because at noontime we're in the mid-60s and we're not much better at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. So that cooler air has arrived and it is running the show. Not only on Wednesday, but look at our 7-day forecast. It is going to run it beyond that as well. How about into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and beyond? I mean, it's just going to be a very dreary, cool period in the weather world here, starting with Wednesday. So enjoy the new brand of air, because it's going to be nice. Tomorrow's going to be spectacular, because it's going to get kind of damp around here for a few days, guys.
But refreshing as far as the temperature.
But refreshing. We'll certainly enjoy it, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
A Wildcat picking up SEC honors.
It comes on the defensive side of the ball after a big performance against South Carolina. And some of the Cats said Saturday's win was for their coach. What does Mark Stoops think about that? Sports is next. Kentucky goes up against the #1 team in the nation this weekend, and the Cats are coming off a good victory, one they really had to have against South Carolina. Mark Stoops has been under the gun after the way the season started. Some of his players said Saturday night the win was for him.
I appreciate them. They know and I love and respect those players, and as they do me, but we know what goes on in our locker room, and I told them, don't ever worry about me. I'm never going to flinch, and they can't either. It was exciting, they were energetic, but we knew what we had to do. It's about getting out there and executing and playing, and there's a lot of things for us to clean up still, and that's the good part. You can do that after a win and after you do some things good, but there's still several plays that will get cleaned up.
During today's news conference, Mark Stoops talked about the time when Nick Saban tried recruiting him to Michigan State. Saban was a position coach for the Spartans. This was back in the 1980s. He had a good relationship with the Stoops family. Despite Saban's best efforts, Stoops turned him down before committing to Hayden Fry at Iowa.
All the Stoops guys went to Iowa, and Uncle Bob, who is still a good friend, was the coach at South High, where we recruited Garcia Lane to Ohio State. So there was just a lot of connections there with the family, and Mark was a really good player, and we really tried to get him, but we didn't. And Hayden Fry had that family pretty wrapped up.
Well, it's a tall order this weekend. Alabama, #1 in the country, Saturday night, 7 o'clock. The game is on ESPN. And today, the SEC announcing game times for October 8. Kentucky Vanderbilt, 4 o'clock kickoff on the SEC network. Both UK and Vandy have a record of 2-2 so far this season. Stoops said today that defensive end Denzel Ware played his best football yet against South Carolina, and the conference agreed. Today, the SEC naming Ware the Defensive Lineman of the Week. Ware had 5 tackles, including a pair of sacks Saturday. His biggest play of the night came in the 4th quarter, a big sack on quarterback Brandon McElwain on 4th and 17 to end the Gamecocks' comeback attempt. Damian Harris's status for Saturday's Kentucky-Alabama game is unknown. The Madison Southern product and Alabama running back left the game against Kent State with just 4 carries. He was taken to the locker room with an injury to his right leg. Today, Saban said Harris is day-to-day. Harris is leading the Crimson Tide, 345 yards rushing on just 40 carries. Mississippi State Athletic Director Scott Strickland will be introduced as Florida's new AD Tuesday. This is according to a report by USA Today. Strickland previously served as Associate AD for Media Relations at UK. Strickland, who grew up in Paintsville, Kentucky, would replace Jeremy Foley, who is retiring at the end of the month. Sam Amber, that's sports. Back to you.
Thank you, Rob. A final check of your first alert forecast is next.
And then on the CBS Evening News, a look ahead to tonight's first presidential debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Now that's a pretty good shot because earlier today it was pretty gloomy outside. A little bit of blue sky there.
Yeah, you get a little bit because the skies are going to try to clear. The problem is when they start clearing this time of day and into the nighttime, it gets chilly. And that's where we're going tonight, probably into the upper 40s in most locations to start your Tuesday. Then we're right back into the low 70s. Below average for this time of year, but it's still very comfortable and a good-looking Tuesday. And then it gets messy.
Like the way that sounds. Coming up on the CW Lexington at 6:30, live report from Sean Moody on the Zika virus and spraying of mosquitoes in parts of Lexington.
Thanks for watching.